Hello, everyone. Today, Dahlia, Alan, Melissa, and myself, Jeanette, will be taking you through our topic, gentrification, or how we're calling it, inevitable change. We're going to explain how gentrifying low-income communities had not only brought change, development, and investment in such communities, but it has also led to the displacement of its residents, loss of connection to their community, and a socioeconomic disparity amongst its residents. I'm going to share a quote from Tiffany Wallace, who is a resident from the Englewood community, who was interviewed by the NCR newspaper. And this quote, it's a strong quote because it really speaks to how the city's citizens feel about certain changes that are happening within their community. The quote reads, "The city is being beautified, but it's not being beautified for us." Gentrification, an issue that has been around for many years, has moved closer to our homes and brought change that many have hoped for. And I feel like that's where the first part of the quote kind of speaks to, is being beautified. We hope for a change like this in a lot of these communities, but that change, it seems like it's really not for us based on the attraction and the high cost of a lot of the buildings they're adding into the city. One of the most recent change is Inglewood, is one of the newer projects currently under construction. With the introduction of the new SoFi Stadium and now what it's soon to be the new home for the Clippers Arena. Um, Around the Clippers Arena, it was known to be more of a community where you will see houses, apartments, some businesses, but a lot of those communities and housings were basically they were being paid to move out so that they could build new constructions into that zone. I actually used to live right behind where the Clipper Stadium is going to be. Well, it's located now. And we were part of that group where they gave us money to relocate to a different community. So a lot of times the thought of relocating families, the consideration of can that family afford another city where inflation has been higher than usual? And I think that thought process is not being considered in a lot of these places, in a lot of these moves. Gentrification might lead to people to believe that there's an ulterior motive for taking over and investing in low income communities. But what some fail to understand is the bigger picture its residents and city officials have towards the improvement of the community, the financial growth and development, job opportunities to its residents, benefits of owners, and the reduction of crime. But the question still stands, is this for the residents or is this for self-gain? In order to gain your own opinion on gentrification, you must look at both sides of this issue and understand the different viewpoints.
To define gentrification, it is the process in which wealthier people move into developing areas, changing the overall character of a neighborhood. The term gentrification was first applied in London in the 1960s and has impacted Los Angeles since the 1990s, showing us that this issue isn't something new. Today, many people are still being affected by it, and according to the National Community Reinvestment Coalition, gentrification is a powerful force for economic change in our cities, but it is often accompanied by extreme and unnecessary cultural displacement. While gentrification increases the value of properties in areas that suffered from prolonged disinvestment, it also results in rising rents, home, and property values. Gentrification can result in the displacement of many long-term residents, mostly because they can't afford to pay rent and the cost of living in a certain area has become too expensive. If a resident doesn't happen to already own property in an area that is being gentrified, which is unlikely for most, they are more likely to have to move to a different and more affordable area. Although there may be more negatives compared to positives when it comes to gentrification, many believe that these positives have led to significant improvement in many neighborhoods. Many supporters of gentrification usually argue that this process and the results of it are needed for a community to grow, both economically and socially. Gentrification has led to the renovation or beautification of neighborhoods, the development of new businesses and more job opportunities, and enhancements of public safety and infrastructure and organization. According to Coldwell Banker Commercial, gentrification has been credited to saving struggling cities through commercial development, improved economic opportunity, increased property values, improved infrastructure, and lower crime rates. Furthermore, municipalities rely largely on property taxes to pay for public services such as utilities, roads, schools, police stations, and fire departments. The higher the property values, the more the city can collect, which ultimately benefits residents in that area. For those who own property in areas that are being gentrified, their property value increases, which can be beneficial to homeowners who want to rent or sell. According to rentcafe.com, from 2000 to 2016, the average home value in cities such as Los Angeles, California, Brooklyn, New York, Washington, D.C., and more went from less than $200,000 to more than $800,000. This diagram shows that property value is the biggest change in home value, which in general is great for communities. Chet's theory, which states that we each have interpersonal needs for inclusion, control, and affection, can be related to gentrification because many of those who contribute to gentrification are unable to afford housing in more expensive areas, which leads them to find housing in areas that are more in their price range. This can be their way of needing to feel included and acknowledged as living in an up-and-coming neighborhood. As for the need to have control, when areas are being gentrified, the character of the community is changed because different people are arriving and want newer stores, restaurants, and more that they feel familiar with. And these new projects are tailored to what the new residents are looking for and want. Lastly, the need for affection can differ with each person, which can lead to new and old residents being unfamiliar with each other and not wanting to become familiar with each other at all. Despite gentrification leading to these beneficial projects, it is mostly seen as problematic because of its controversial outcomes.
Perspective from non-supporters. The non-supporters of gentrification argue against pursuing this process due to its displacement of long-standing communities and the unfortunate impact it has on the people living in these areas. The consequences of gentrification are increase of homelessness, increased cost of living, reduced affordable housing, disruption of small local businesses, and loss of unity within neighborhoods. According to the article Health Effects of Gentrification, it states that this has the potential to cause displacements of long-time residents and businesses. Displacements happen when long-time or original neighborhoods residents move from a gentrified area because of higher rents, mortgage, and property taxes. Due to the escalating cost of housing and property taxes, making it unaffordable to continue to stay, it often leads to residents and small businesses to leave. So gentrifying forces local people out of their community to bring in people who are able to afford it. So because of this, it fractures the unity of the communities that once defines the area. So the effects on the communities. Gentrification often leads to the pricing out of longtime residents who aren't unable to afford the rising cost of living in their communities. The rush of wealthier residents can lead to the disparagement of the original residents, disrupting the unity within the neighborhoods and the sense of belongings. The inabilities of people to be able to afford housing shows the alarming consequences of gentrification, creating cycles of poverty due to being unable to afford rent. So according to the article, Family Homelessness and Gentrification in San Diego, it states even if a single parent works full-time at a minimum wage in San Diego, they are unable to afford rent on unsubsidized apartments. As areas have gentrified, families in poverty cannot afford rent, which pushes them into homelessness. High rental costs also prevents them from bettering their situation once they lose housing. So although it is important to create a better environment for these communities, what must be focused is on creating improved sustainable communities while prioritizing the well-beings of all the residents. In doing this, it helps maintain the unity in its communities, creating a sense of belonging instead and better living conditions. Social identity theory. So this theory offers insights into the difficulties of gentrification, mainly understanding the dynamics between newcomers and the established communities. This theory predicates that individuals take a significant part of their identity from the group they belong to. Gentrification often creates a division between the newcomers who replace the people who are not able to afford the homes to the established community, impacting the social identity of both groups. The theory helps understand the conflicts arising from different groups, identities, and interests between these groups within neighborhoods being gentrified. Although many people support gentrification because of its economic growth and improved living condition in communities, none of this will matter if it pushes away long-standing communities because they can't afford it.
So, in conclusion, our group is unanimously against gentrification. We believe that it is causing longtime residents to be displaced with little compensation. Gentrification is causing people to no longer afford their neighborhoods or having to move further out and finding new neighborhoods to raise their family and children in. Growing up here in Southern California, we have all experienced some form of gentrification in our neighborhoods. We have had our blocks completely cleared out of businesses and homes to make way for schools or strip malls or even baseball field, football fields. Our cities are looking better than ever, and the crime rates have gone down because of gentrification. We will have to look at the positive effects of this and not focus on the negatives. And these are the resources that we used for our presentation. And thank you so much for listening to us with our presentation. Have a great night.